It's a chilling story of a widow named Evelyn, who shocked everyone by surrendering her late husband's massive empire without a single fight. But the real secret lay hidden deep within the fine print of those final legal documents. When her billionaire husband, Arthur Vance, suddenly passed away from a silent heart attack, his two adult children from a previous marriage immediately swooped in like vultures to strip Evelyn of everything she owned. Julian and Beatrice Vance had never accepted Evelyn into the family, choosing instead to view her as a calculating gold digger, despite her 2 decades of unwavering devotion to their father. Within 48 hours of the funeral, the greedy siblings served Evelyn with an aggressive lawsuit that demanded the immediate forfeiture of the family estate, the multi-million-dollar logistics corporation, and every single liquid asset. Evelyn's longtime personal attorney, Marcus Vance, begged her on his knees to let him fight the unfair lawsuit because they had overwhelming evidence to protect her rightful inheritance. Instead of panicking, Evelyn calmly looked into her lawyer's frantic eyes and told him to draft an agreement that gave the siblings absolutely everything they asked for. Marcus thought his client had completely lost her mind under the crushing weight of grief, warning her that signing these specific papers would leave her entirely penniless on the streets. Evelyn simply smiled, the serene, knowing smile seen in 1000148414.jpg, and quietly told him that some victories require losing the battle in order to completely decimate the enemy during the war. Word quickly spread through the high society circles of Chicago that Arthur's fragile widow had surrendered the entire Vance empire to her stepchildren without uttering a single word of protest. Julian and Beatrice celebrated their effortless victory by popping expensive champagne bottles in the penthouse suite, mocking Evelyn for being a weak-willed fool who didn't possess the courage to stand up for herself. The final court hearing was scheduled for a rainy Tuesday morning, and the prestigious courtroom was completely packed with greedy relatives, curious journalists, and high-profile corporate board members. Evelyn arrived wearing a stunning crimson blouse that perfectly matched her confident composure, radiating an aura of absolute peace that deeply unnerved the opposing legal team. Julian and Beatrice sat across the aisle with smug, arrogant expressions plastered all over their faces, eagerly nudging each other as the judge took his place at the bench to finalize the massive asset transfer. Their expensive corporate attorney, Richard Sterling, stood up and proudly announced to the court that an amicable agreement had been reached, guaranteeing his clients total control of the entire estate. When the judge asked Evelyn if she understood that she was signing away her rights to billions of dollars, she stood up gracefully, walked over to the podium, and signed the legal documents with a steady hand. Julian and Beatrice flashed triumphant, mocking smiles at the cameras, fully believing they had successfully humiliated their stepmother and stripped her of her dignity forever. The atmosphere in the courtroom instantly shifted from celebration to absolute terror when Richard Sterling stepped forward to review the fully executed documents before they were officially stamped by the clerk. As the high-powered attorney scanned the detailed financial clauses hidden within the addendum, the smug grin vanished from his face, and his skin turned a ghostly shade of pale. Richard's hands began to tremble violently as he frantically flipped through the pages, his eyes widening in sheer horror as he realized the catastrophic trap his clients had just eagerly walked into. Seeing their attorney completely lose his professional composure, Julian aggressively snatched the documents out of his hand and demanded to know what could possibly be wrong with a total victory. What the greedy siblings did not know was that Arthur's logistics empire was secretly on the verge of total collapse due to a massive, hidden, multi-million-dollar fraud scheme that Julian himself had secretly operated behind his father's back. Evelyn had discovered the devastating evidence of Julian's corporate embezzlement weeks before Arthur's death, but she chose to keep it hidden until the perfect trap could be sprung. By aggressively demanding absolute ownership of the entire business and every single associated asset, Julian and Beatrice had legally assumed 100% of the corporate liability and the massive unpayable debts. The clever addendum Evelyn had Marcus quietly insert into the contract stated that the new owners assumed all past, present, and future legal and financial liabilities of the Vance Corporation. Furthermore, the document included a legally binding, irreversible clause that automatically triggered a full, independent federal audit of the company's financial history, the exact moment the ownership transferred. Julian stared at the paperwork in absolute horror, as he realized that by signing these documents, he had just personally handed the federal government the undeniable proof of his own corporate crimes. Beatrice shrieked in absolute panic as Richard whispered to them that the crushing corporate debt alone would completely bankrupt them both within the next 30 days, leaving them with absolutely nothing but ruin. The courtroom erupted into total chaos as reporters realized the shocking twist, desperately shouting questions while Julian fell backward into his leather chair, hyperventilating from the sudden realization of his fate. Evelyn stood at the front of the courtroom, maintaining the exact same serene and victorious smile, captured looking down at her defeated stepchildren with calm pity. She had never cared about Arthur's billions or the material wealth, but she cared deeply about delivering complete justice to the corrupt children who had broken their father's heart through their greed. 2 days after the explosive courtroom hearing, the FBI officially raided the Vance corporate headquarters, seizing every hard drive and arresting Julian on multiple federal counts of grand larceny, tax evasion, and corporate fraud. Beatrice was forced to liquidate her entire personal savings and sell her luxury properties just to cover the initial wave of aggressive lawsuits from furious corporate creditors. Meanwhile, Evelyn quietly packed her personal belongings from the main estate, feeling a profound sense of closure and deep relief that her beloved husband's true legacy was finally cleansed of corruption. She had secretly transferred Arthur's genuine personal treasures, sentimental family heirlooms, and a private offshore account he set up specifically for her, long before the siblings ever filed their greedy lawsuit. Marcus caught up with Evelyn as she walked out of the empty mansion, shaking his head in absolute awe of her brilliant, calculating mind and apologizing for ever doubting her unorthodox legal strategy. Evelyn smiled warmly at her loyal friend, telling him that sometimes you have to let greedy people take exactly what they want so that their own greed can destroy them completely. She moved to a beautiful, sun-drenched cottage on the coast of Maine, far away from the toxic whispers of high society and the dramatic chaos of corporate boardrooms. The local community quickly grew to love the elegant, kind-hearted woman who spent her afternoons volunteering at the local library and funding a brand new scholarship program for underprivileged children. Julian was ultimately sentenced to 15 years in a federal maximum security prison, while Beatrice was forced to work a regular, low-paying job to pay off the endless millions of dollars in outstanding civil judgments. The Vance empire completely dissolved into history, serving as a legendary cautionary tale for the elite about the devastating dangers of unchecked arrogance and insatiable familial greed. Evelyn often looked at a small framed photograph of Arthur, sitting on her fireplace mantel. Knowing that she had honored his memory by forcing his children to finally face the consequences of their actions, she lived her new life with an abundance of genuine joy, completely free from the heavy burdens of immense wealth, and surrounded by real friends who valued her for her heart rather than her bank account. If this incredible story of brilliant strategy, emotional resilience, and ultimate poetic justice touched your heart, please take a brief moment to show you're incredible for our channel. We kindly ask you to smash that like button right now, drop a meaningful comment down below sharing your thoughts on Evelyn's genius trap, and share this video with your family and friends. Your wonderful engagement helps us grow and allows us to keep creating these highly cinematic, emotionally immersive narratives that you love watching until the very last second. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another thrilling, suspenseful story of family drama and sweet revenge. Thank you so much for watching, for being an essential part of our amazing storytelling community, and for staying tuned until the absolute end of this unforgettable journey. May Evelyn's story remind you that true dignity and wisdom will always triumph over the loudest, most arrogant forces in this world.